last night. Now they blew up.
Welcome back into Drive Time on a Wednesday afternoon in Central New York. Tim Leonard with you. You can always watch the show on CuseSportsTalk.com, and if you are watching right now on our Twitch stream on CuseSportsTalk.com or our YouTube stream on Cuse Sports Talk, our YouTube page, then you will see our next guest live and in person. That is Sophie Burrows, the ACC Player of the Week and the star forward for the Orange women's basketball team. Sophie, so great to have you on, and let's start right there. How'd it feel to find out that you were named the ACC Player of the Week this week?
I mean, yeah, it was pretty cool. I wasn't expecting it at all. So it's always nice to get that kind of recognition. But obviously, it's all about the wins from here on out. So that's what we're focusing on. And yeah.
Yeah, and Coach Jack does a great job of recognizing any of those kind of individual awards, Player of the Week awards. We've seen Uche get a ton of Rookie of the Week awards this week. That's a team award, right? And I know that you are enjoying, I'm sure, being around this team because any of the players I've spoken to rave about the chemistry and the vibe of this year's group. How much fun has it been just to be with this team each and every day and having this successful of a season to this point?
It's been amazing. This is definitely like my favorite team I've ever played on. I think the chemistry we have is supernatural and it really clicked from the beginning. And I think that chemistry is really shown on the court in our success. And, you know, I'm really proud to be part of this team.
Was there a moment, Sophie, where you realized that early on? And everyone has said that from the preseason or some of the first meetings with the team, you could tell that it was the right chemistry. Was there a particular moment or a time you look back on where you kind of knew, like, okay, this team's going to be a whole lot better than we were last season?
I mean, I could definitely see it in the summer. You know, I think sometimes teams can be a little bit cliquey, especially at the start, but I think everyone kind of just got in around each other. We were all with each other a lot throughout the summer. And then in those first few games, you know, we really dominated those first few games. And I think that chemistry was definitely a part of that. But yeah, I think it's just been evident from the moment we all kind of got together in the summer.
And I'd imagine for you, Sophie Burrows is with us here, the ACC Player of the Week, and you're now in your junior season, Sophie, and you were the lone returning starter, and you've known Coach Jack's system for 3 years at this point, so you're a veteran on this team. I'd imagine for you, it's a transition this year into more of a leadership role, knowing that you've been around Coach Jack for a while and you know what works for Coach Jack. How has that been for you, transitioning maybe into being a more vocal leader this season? And is that something that came easily to you, or did you have to kind of work on that part of your game?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've been working on it for the last few seasons, I'd say, but this season especially, you know, with our upperclassmen coming from really successful programs and some of the freshmen coming in from like really successful high schools, you know, we all have that talent, but obviously not everyone knew kind of Coach Jack's program and whatnot. So definitely as someone who's been with her the longest, I really wanted to help them with that transition. And, you know, it takes a concerted effort, I would say, to, you know, always be talking and kind of be that leader. But, you know, this team makes it super easy. Everyone's been like really amazing in terms of like listening and being a sponge. So, you know, my teammates definitely make that kind of leadership role easy for me.
And it sounds like before the Clemson game, one example you did of kind of showcasing some leadership, we heard Coach Jack talk after the game about how you put a message on the board of one of Coach Jack's favorite songs. What went into that, and what can you tell us about basically before the Clemson game, what your mindset was and what the message was to the team?
Yeah, it's something we do every week. Every game, we always put kind of a little saying on the board, something that we've been focusing on for the week or whatever it is. But yeah, this game specifically, we knew it was going to be a tough one. Clemson's an amazing team. They have a lot of talent, but we really just wanted to come in and kind of, I mean, the saying I put on the board was waging war. So, you know, we really wanted to just come in and throw the first punch, and we knew we were playing for something bigger than ourselves, especially being the pink game. So, yeah, we just wanted to come out and really show that from the beginning.
Yeah, you talk about playing for something bigger than yourself, and it is amazing when you think about kind of everything happens for a reason and fate and all of those things, that with Tiana Mungakahia on all of our minds during that game, and Tiana, an Australian who wore number 4 for Syracuse, and then there you are, an Australian who wears number 4, wearing her number, and you have one of the best games of your career on that day. Were you extra motivated going into the game, kind of knowing that? Or what's your reaction when you hear people talk about how Tiana wore that number and then there you are having that unbelievable game wearing her number?
Yeah, I mean, I unfortunately never got the chance to meet Tiana, but it's so obvious the kind of impact she had on the Syracuse community, and knowing that coming from Australia as well and wearing her number, I definitely wanted to go out there and play a little bit harder and leave it all out in the court there, because I know that's something that she definitely would have done. So, it means a lot, not just for Tiana, but for all the cancer survivors and people fighting right now. So definitely as a team, we just wanted to go out there and kind of leave it all out in the court for them, for sure.
Is that something that Coach Jack communicated to you guys before the game, the idea of playing for cancer survivors or playing with a little extra edge in this game, knowing that there were going to be some cancer survivors at the game and breast cancer awareness was a part of the game on Sunday?
Yeah, we all kind of came in knowing that, and Coach Jack definitely emphasized that. But I think Coach Jack does a really good job of emphasizing that, like, no matter the day, we are just playing a game of basketball at the end of the day. There's people going through a lot more than we're going through. So, just recognizing that and knowing that we want to come out and leave it all out in the court, because there's some people that may not be able to do that. I think Coach Jack does a really good job of emphasizing that throughout the season, regardless of the day.
Sophie Burrows is with us. She had a career-high 16 rebounds in the win over Clemson on Sunday. Was there a moment in the game, Sophie, where you realized this is a little abnormal, how many rebounds I'm pulling down in this game? You had 11 rebounds at halftime, and Clemson's entire team had 11 rebounds at halftime. So was there a moment in the first half or early on in the game where you realized this is going to be a big rebound game for me, or do you not even kind of process that as the game's happening?
Yeah, no, definitely, because I don't normally get so many rebounds, obviously. So definitely coming into halftime, a few people pointed it out to me, and they were like, "You got to keep going. Like, we want to see 20 or whatever." So my teammates definitely kind of pointed that out to me, and definitely made a conceded effort in that second half to keep going after the rebounds, because that was what was working for me. So yeah.
Yeah, and Clemson was a really good defensive rebounding team. You guys have been a great offensive rebounding team throughout the year, and that was a big part of the game. You had 8 offensive rebounds, 8 defensive rebounds for a career-high 16 total rebounds in the game. And Uche Azoje has been the one that has been the leader in the rebounding category throughout much of the season. I want to ask you about her because you've been around a lot of great players, and Coach Jack raved about her from the moment she stepped on campus about how talented and how special she could be. And now we're seeing the growth each and every game with her. How much fun has it been to play with her and see that she's one of the best bigs in the ACC already as just a freshman?
It's been amazing. Not only is she a super talented player, she's just an amazing person. She's so humble and she's so willing to take everything in. And I think that's really translating to her game, because obviously it is a transition coming from Japan and playing basketball there to playing basketball in college. There's definitely a difference in the game, which I think I've experienced as well coming from Australia. So just her willingness to learn has really shown on the court throughout the year, I think. And she's just so talented, and I love playing with her. I love being able to kind of play that high-low game with her and knowing that if I miss a shot, she's going to get my rebound. So, yeah, she's an amazing person, amazing teammate, and an amazing player.
What do you think specifically were the biggest differences coming from Australia to the American game? Like the things that you had to adjust to that maybe now you feel you're more used to playing in the American game for a little bit? I
definitely say the speed of the game. I think in Australia, it's a lot more of a thinking game, a little bit slower, a bit more like people running plays, that kind of thing. But I think coming to America, there was definitely a transition in the speed and the strength of the players I'm playing against. But I think, 3 years now, I think I've made that transition pretty well by now.
Yeah, certainly. And that was one of the best all-around games you've had in your Syracuse career. And that's why you were named ACC Player of the Week. One of the reasons, at least, for the big week you had with the 19 points and 16 rebounds against Clemson. And you clinched that game at the end with passing it into Shai Hawkins, and then she hits the 2 big free throws at the end. And I was so impressed by Shai's poise in that moment. She was kind of smiling and joking as she's attempting those free throws. Just how proud of Shai were you when you saw her go to the line there? And obviously, those are two incredibly clutch free throws that you made to end the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, before I even threw the ball and I looked at Shai and I was like, you're going to have to come get it, because I didn't think the original play we were running was going to really work. So I looked at Shai and I was like, you got to be ready for this. And she came in, she stepped up and she hit those shots. And, you know, we practice those shots every day, but to actually make it in crunch time it's more difficult than you would think. So I was really proud of her for kind of having that poise to step up to the line and make it when we needed it.
Yeah, I thought it was an example of how Coach Deck always talks about this year. You have a go-to team, not just a go-to player. And I know everyone is making comparisons to the team you were on your freshman season when you guys made it to the NCAA tournament and you had Deasia Fair on that team. And she was very clearly the go-to player at the end of games. How would you compare this year's team maybe to the team that you had when you were a freshman 2 years ago, and how you're more balanced, you're deeper, and that gives you guys probably it's a little tougher to defend, I guess, when you're in those situations late in game when you know that it's maybe not going to the same player every single time?
Yeah, for sure. I think just how deep we are is really hard to scout for any team. They have to be able to defend 5 players on the court at one time. And I think that makes it really hard to defend, especially in crunch time. I think we're a very unselfish team, so we really do a good job of getting the ball to the hot hand and making the right decisions in crunch time. So I think for any team trying to defend us, it's not like they can just lock down one player and then be comfortable and confident with that. So, I think it's a really big part of our success this year is just how deep we go.
All right, a couple more for you, Sophie. I find it so puzzling right now when I look at your stats. You're shooting lights out on the road from three. You're shooting 48% from three-point range on the road, 24% at home. I don't know if you even know that, but do you have an explanation for why that is, or why you feel like you've been shooting a whole lot better when you guys are playing on the road this year?
Honestly, no. I don't know what it is. I know some people say the dome can be hard to shoot at just because of the depth perception and whatnot, but I really have no explanation for that. But, you know, we definitely know those things and we take it into the game. So I've been trying to kind of get to the ring a little bit more at the dome and then maybe shoot those outside shots a little bit more on the road. But, yeah, I don't really have an explanation for that one.
Well, next 2 games are on the road, so I guess we should expect you to be shooting a whole lot of threes when you're playing at NC State and at Notre Dame. Before we let you go, how big of an opportunity is this coming up on Sunday against NC State? We talk about the team from 2 years ago. You had them right down to the wire in Reynolds Coliseum, lost in overtime that year, and obviously, if you would go down there and knock off NC State, that would be a big-time win. So what's kind of top of mind with the team as you look towards the next 2 games and specifically this first game against NC State?
Yeah, I think this is a huge game for us. You know, NC State's a hard place to play. They always have that really loud sold-out. I think kind of that atmosphere is really going to help prepare us for the tournament and play through March. But, you know, I think just getting this win will really give us a lot of confidence to know that we can go up against those higher ranked teams and, you know, come out with a win going into the rest of the season. So, yeah, definitely going to come in with a good attitude and we really want to win this game. So, you know, yeah.
Work, and congrats again on winning ACC Player of the Week. It's been a fun team to follow throughout the year, and I'm sure you guys are excited for March and what's ahead, and we'll be following along. So we appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, that's Sophie Burrows, who is a junior right now at Syracuse, one of their star forwards, and was named ACC Player of the Week for her tremendous 2 games this past week. We talked a lot about the Clemson game. She was terrific